everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melody, a romance and YA author, and this is the start of my How to Write a Romance Novel series. This is going to be just a series of videos that I am going to post. I don't know how often I'm going to post these videos, but I want to take you along the journey of me writing a romance novel from start to finish. And 2021 is going to be a great year for me to start a brand new book. And I've decided that I'm going to write the Rachel and Chase novel, which I'm going to start calling the Teacher Cop Romance so you'll know what it's about. But of course the main characters are Rachel and Chase, and I've talked about these characters in a few videos of mine. But this is going to be the year that I am going to write this story. Now, I will say I've cheated just a little bit. I've got about 7,000 words of the story already, but I've decided that I'm just going to start over because the story needs a lot of work on it. But it's not much. It's only 7,000 words. Really, technically, I really haven't really started this novel yet because I've got so much more work to do on it. So I'm going to bring you along my journey of me writing this novel, and I hope this helps you if you're trying to write a romance novel. And also, this is great for me because I'm gonna want to look back at these videos one day, and I'm gonna want to see how far I've come along. So this is gonna be very exciting. Now, I wanted my first video to be about how to outline a romance novel, but I realized that's actually not going to be the first video because I can't outline a novel until I know who my characters are. And to get to know my characters, I like to do character sketches. Now, character sketches are something I've talked about in one of my other videos, but I'll talk about it again. Character sketches are basically like a list of questions that you write down, and you answer questions about your character. And it generates a lot of ideas for your story. I learned about this method in a class that I took, an online course that I took through Gale Courses. It was a How to Write a Romance Novel course. If your library has Gale Courses, I do highly recommend this class. They also have some other writing classes on there. It's a lot of fun. If your library has it, the courses are completely free. You just use your library card to get online. So definitely check it out if your library has it. But anyway, I took this class. I took the How to Write a Romance Novel class on Gale Courses, and the instructor, she was amazing. Her name is Priscilla, and I forgot her last name. I will, I'll write her name down. So I'll put the link in the description or something. But she was a great instructor, and so she had suggested a couple of different techniques you can use to get to know your characters, but my favorite one was the character sketch. And I've got my character sketch right here, and I've got a list of these questions on my website. So I will also link that below so you can check that out. So I first want to talk about how to develop your heroine, and I also want to talk about some things that I see in books that I don't like, and they're definitely things that I am not going to do when I make my character. I don't know if y'all have ever read books like this before, but have you ever read books where like the heroine is like she's whiny, or she's insecure, or she like jumps to the wrong conclusions, like, you know, really easily, or like she's like an ice queen and she's like totally mean, and just that character. I hate that character. I hate her. I've discovered that whenever I am reading a book, if I don't like the characters, I just can't get involved in the story. Like, I don't care about their journey. If I don't like the characters, I don't care about their journey. So that will easily make me stop reading a book if I don't like the characters. So I want to make sure that the character I develop is a really good one and is real. I like to make my heroines like independent women, like strong women. I just don't like those whiny characters or those like ice queen characters. I just don't like them. So if you're watching this video, which probably not a lot of people are watching this video because I don't really have a lot of subscribers yet. So guess what, you guys? Y'all get a little spoiler, a little preview of my story because I'm going to read out, not all of these questions, but I'm going to read out some of them so you can get an idea of how I do these character sketches and like what kinds of questions I ask, and how you can also develop your character for your story. So I like to start off with the name of the character. So I have named her Rachel Lynn Tate. I mean, I got her full name on there. I got her age. I got a birthday. That could change, you know. And I've always imagined that this character grew up in Georgia. I don't know why. That's just when I first created this character in my Home Safe novel, which is another novel in my series. I created this character in book 3 of my series, and then I realized that she needed her own story, which actually came before that story. So, but when I first created her, I just imagined she had like a really pronounced Southern accent, and so I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe she's like from someplace like Georgia. So she's from Georgia. Another one of these questions is, what is their occupation and their education level? When I first introduced this character, when I first created her in book 3, she's a teacher. She was a teacher. So I have got her down as an elementary education teacher who teaches 3rd grade in this small town, this fictional town that I made up, Turtle Creek, in North Carolina. It's a fictional town in North Carolina, and I came up with her backstory too. Like, character sketches are really great ways to create all that backstory. And the backstory is a lot of times the way you can really generate these ideas, right? So she's, this character of mine has got an ex-husband who was like very abusive to her, but he's in jail now. And he was a cop. So he was not a good cop. But now she is scared because this guy, he is getting out of jail, and she's afraid that he's gonna come after her. So that kind of brings, you know, the story, like this, that's where the story kind of starts. Like, oh no, this, you know, my ex-husband's gonna get out of jail, you know, what's gonna happen when he gets out of jail? So that's gonna create some good tension right there. Now, of course, you have to also, well, I won't say have to, but I think it's pretty expected, especially in the romance genre. Like your heroine, she's always got like her best friend, right? Like there's always like the best girlfriend. So I thought the easiest person to be her best friend would be another teacher at the school she works at. So we got her best friend. Then another series of questions you can ask to, you know, get to know your character, like what their favorite free time activity is, and what their favorite movie is, like what kind of car they drive, you know, all different kinds of questions like that. But now this is where the questions really kind of start to get serious. Like, what is their biggest fear? What is their favorite childhood memory? I decided that since my character grew up in Georgia, but now I've got her teaching in North Carolina, I needed to discover a way to bring her to North Carolina. Like, what brought her to North Carolina? I didn't really know at first. I assumed the reason she was in North Carolina because she was trying to get away from Adam, her ex-husband. But when I thought about it, I'm like, well, I mean, he's in jail. You know, if he's in jail, why does she need to, like, be on the run from him? He's in jail, right? And then I thought, well, maybe she needs a fresh start, you know, so she moves all the way to North Carolina. But still, I still just felt like there needed to be a better reason for her to move to North Carolina. So I like that fresh start idea. So I am going with that, but I feel like she needed like a connection to Turtle Creek. So what I decided is that I'm going to have her favorite childhood memory be spending time during the summer in Turtle Creek with her grandparents, because I'm going to say she was really close with her grandparents. But now her grandfather, he has passed, and her grandmother is in an assisted living facility, and she has dementia. So she doesn't really always recognize her. So that's kind of sad. But that was her favorite childhood memory, spending time in Turtle Creek. And so I can say that, well, maybe what brought Rachel to North Carolina was that her grandmother then had to go into this assisted living facility, and you know, maybe when she was with Adam, like Adam, he didn't let her spend time with her grandmother, you know, because abusers, they like to separate you from your family and tell you not to spend time with your family and friends. And so, okay, maybe now that she's away from this horrible guy, maybe she can move to North Carolina and be with her grandmother in her time of need, and it'll be a fresh start for her. And she had good memories of this place, and she felt safe in this place. So that's what we're going with. So that was my whole thought process when I was creating the storyline. And I thought, okay, I thought this whole thing with Turtle Creek, like, okay, there's like a river. Okay, there is a river nearby where I live in southeastern North Carolina. And so I'm thinking she spent a lot of time on this river, like in a canoe with her grandfather. And so that's like a good memory that she has. So then we will go into what her worst childhood memory would be. So I would say that would be, she was very sad when her grandfather died. And maybe that happened when she was a teenager. This is just all me like brainstorming ideas and things. So now we got questions about the parents. So her mother, what's her relationship like with her mother? My character, Rachel, she's really close with her mother. Even though now her mother lives in Georgia, she's still really close with her. I imagine that she talks on the phone with her like all the time. Her father, he means nothing to her. He left her when she was a baby. He means nothing to her, you know. It seems like a great way to develop a character to give them a problem is to give them daddy issues. It's like, it seems like every character always has daddy issues or mother issues sometimes, but you know what I mean? Like, the relationship you have with your parents can really like make you who you are. And so she doesn't even like know who her father is, and he doesn't mean anything to her. But because she didn't know who her father is, she has a very close relationship with her mother and her grandparents as well. So that's good for character development. All right, so now some other questions we can ask about our character. What could be their worst habit? And I would say she lets the little things annoy her. Especially when it comes to Chase. He chases her upstairs neighbor, and he annoys her sometimes, and I think he's gonna really get to her. All right, so now past relationships. I already kind of talked about that. Her ex-husband Adam, he was a mean cop, and I'll tell you, this is why Rachel finally left Adam. It was when he beat her up so bad one day that he made her miscarry the baby she was carrying. So that right there is some trauma that she's carrying, because she wanted to be a mother and she really loves kids. I mean, obviously she's a teacher and she was going to have a baby, and now like that was like all gone. So she didn't have her baby anymore. So that's like really sad. But I think that's going to, all that past backstory, all that trauma that she experienced, that'll be some great conflict and tension that I can bring into the story. I don't know if that makes sense or not. You can also give your character like, you know, little quirks or catchphrases or things that they say. So because she's from the South, I just imagine that she's this kind of character that always says, like, bless your heart, bless your heart, Or I have a feeling like she doesn't cuss because she teaches third graders and she doesn't want to accidentally slip and say a bad word. So I feel like she may say like silly words instead of cuss words to, avoid saying like a bad word. And then then you have to ask yourself, like, what is your character's biggest regret? I would say her biggest regret, of course, not leaving Adam sooner. And then I had to figure out, well, why did she stay with Adam so long? Now, I do know that women who are abused, it is actually really hard for them to leave. I know that doesn't make sense, but it's hard for them to leave. I guess, I don't really know why, but I just know it's hard for them to get out of that situation. And I'm also thinking that her husband came from a very rich family, and he somehow helped her pay for her college education. And if his family like helped pay for her college education, that's going to make it harder for him to leave because she really wanted that teaching degree so she could be a teacher. And if she didn't have that teaching degree, if she didn't have a job, like, I think she eventually on some level knew she was going to leave Adam, but she needed to be able to stand on her own 2 feet. So that's really the point of my character, is that now she's finally in a place in her life where she's independent. She doesn't want to depend on anybody else. She wants to do things herself, and she doesn't want to be in that relationship anymore, because she went down that path and it was an ugly path, and she doesn't want to go back to that. She's not going to live that life anymore. She's now going to be independent and do things on her own terms. So I would say that would be her greatest strength. So that's another one of my questions. Greatest strength, her independence. She's free from Adam now, wants to do things on her own with no help from a man. But of course, she's going to meet Chase, and then she's going to fall in love with him. But first, she's going to be annoyed with him, right? And so her greatest weakness, I think, is she's not going to be able to admit when she needs help. So she likes to do things on her own, but when she needs help, it's going to be hard for her to ask for it. So that's not all of the questions. That's not all of the things on my list. I mean, some things are like favorite color, what's their eye and hair color, what's their height, Just all these questions right here. It's just such a great tool to get to know your character. And so when you're creating your heroine, ask yourself questions like this, and it will really help you get to know who she is. And I think once you get to know who she is, then you will really start to get some ideas for your story. Like, this has already helped me generate a ton of ideas for my story. Because when you really ask questions like what their life goals are and, favorite childhood memory, you really get to know who that character is. And if you know about that character's past, it kind of helps explain who they are, why they are the way they are now. I hope that makes sense. Well, anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope this helps you. I'm going to do another video about the hero next. And then after that video, I think I'm going to go into the outline video, which I really wanted to do first. But again, you can't really do the outline video first until you get to know who your characters are. So anyway, thanks for watching. And if you find this helpful, please do subscribe. I don't know how often I'm going to be adding to this series, but I will put all of these videos in a playlist so you can come along and follow me on my journey. Well, as my character would say, since she's from the South, she says the word y'all a lot. So, I'll see y'all later. Bye.